Namaskaram. Good evening. A warm welcome to all. Sorry, my voice is a little broken today. Um, Today marks the culmination of my artist-in-residency with the Arts Council of Princeton. I'm excited to present my choreographic work based on artificial intelligence, singularity, and beyond. I thank the Arts Council of Princeton and especially the artistic director, Ms. Maria Evans, for giving me this opportunity. I was introduced to artificial intelligence in college as part of my curriculum while I was doing my master's in computer applications. AI was at that time not as prominent as it is today. That was in the late 90s to early 2000s. But I was very much drawn to it. Though I did not pursue AI after my master's, I was always very interested in its developments. A few years back, I was reading an article about Ray Kurzweil, who is a pioneer in the field of AI. The article mentioned the concept of singularity. This truly intrigued me. I had heard about singularity in the context of Big Bang, so it was a little hard for me to truly grasp what it meant in the AI world. More and more articles kept popping up with this concept of singularity. At that time, it was really hard to imagine a state where artificial intelligence would merge with humans to form like a completely different species, or it's a very futuristic way of thinking. But then all the experts in the field, Ray Kurzweil, Jeffrey Hinton, and many others were predicting otherwise. And as I stand here today, we are getting closer and closer to the state of singularity and the emergence of superintelligence. And as laymen, we may not even really grasp the speed at which the 6 major AI companies are leaping towards the finish line for AI. As much as I was intrigued and curious, I was worried too. In fact, the more you read, I think you will get worried. The question that tormented me most was, what would the future look like? Where is humanity headed towards? What would we do with these superpowers? And that's where the question comes. We have one superpower that we always have is of being human and humane. And we kind of lost it over the many centuries. So that was one of the questions that I had in mind always. This choreographic piece I developed during my artist residency with ACP is a reflection of my thoughts and musings about AI. We begin with singularity and the moment of the Big Bang when the universe was created. You may ask, why did you begin with the universe's creation? Why go so far back? Well, starting that far back puts a lot of things in perspective. Throughout human history, we have created our identities based on our lineages. If we trace each of our lineages, we may track it back to maybe 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000, or maybe 5,000 years back. We have categorized ourselves based on a timeline which, when put in the perspective of the universe's creation, is minuscule. And it is even more interesting to note that humans appeared only towards the last phases of the universe's existence. I have in this work considered the idea of the cyclical nature of the universe, the endless cycle of birth, expansion, collapse, and rebirth. I have tried to evaluate the outcome of the evolution of the human mind, creation of AI, and the emergence of superintelligence in the phases of the universe's existence in the light of human emotions. If you are expecting to see a purely Indian classical work, I have to warn you, you are in for a surprise. The whole work has been set in a spoken word or narration mode and has been designed to feel like you are reading a book, chapter by chapter. I have tried my best to not make it look like science fiction, and I have one of my students who's very much into science fiction and astrophysics tell me, make sure that it doesn't look like science fiction. And I want it to be much more about the emotions and the feelings of the evolution of the human mind. This work is dominated by Abhinaya, or acting. Abhinaya is a very critical part of Indian classical dance because our art forms are for storytelling. It is to carry forward the messages and the stories from the past to the future generations. And I feel it is also the responsibility of artists to not just preserve, but also add our stories using the vocabulary of Indian classical arts. Though this was supposed to be a solo presentation, I have included a select group of my students today to give the audience an idea of the possibilities this choreographic piece has to grow into a full-length musical production someday. It's my dream. In short, what I'm presenting today is like an abridged version of a book. As much as this is a theme-heavy work, the dance and music are the heart and soul of it. I would say if dance is a heartbeat, then music is the soul. I would, with that, like to introduce our musicians who will be accompanying us. I'm honored to be joined by Srimati Sandhya on violin today. Sandhya, can you please come up? Sandhya is a dual-talented Carnatic vocalist and violinist known for her technical precision and emotive depth. A 2025 individual artist fellow of the NJ State Council on the Arts, she is a graded artist with All India Radio and Doordarshan. As the founder of Samskrita Sangeeta School of Music, Sandhya brings a wealth of scholarly knowledge and rhythmic mastery to this ensemble, providing a rich melodic canvas for today's performance. A big hand to Sandhya. She is accompanied on the violin by Dhruva Anand, her son and disciple who is an upcoming and budding artist. Dhruva. Let's give a big hand to Dhruva. On mridangam, an Indian percussion instrument, is Rishi Sayer. This is Rishi Sayer. So he's my son too. So that's the chemistry you just saw between us. Rishi is the disciple of Mridangam exponent Guru T.S. Nandakumar. Nandakumar sir is a highly celebrated artist who is the recipient of several awards in the recognition of his contribution to the field of music. Rishi has been fortunate to be under his guidance and mentorship from a very young age. And special mention is due for sir's help and guidance he gave me to set up the rhythmic elements for this work. I'm joined by 4 of my very dedicated students. I call upon Megha Karnam, Sheetala Jakala, Anshu Kari, and Bhavya Patel. Their patience and dedication through this is commendable. It's not easy working with me, they all know that. And I'm so happy to have them perform with me today. Thank you, girls. So with this, I end my preface to the work. Like how whenever we read a book, there's a preface to the whole book. I'm an impatient reader, so sometimes I just skip the preface and jump to the chapter 1. But I've always noticed that the preface is as important as every chapter in the book, and to even get a context. So that's why I did give this preface. And we will begin shortly to delve into Singularity and beyond. Thank you. Hope you enjoy. Hope, and also just as information, there will be a discussion after the program, after the dance is done, where I will be looking forward to hearing from you, the audience, about your thoughts about AI, what the future holds for us, and what would you think? This is probably one of the questions you can have in mind as you see as you see the choreographic work. That is, what are the 3 qualities that you would want, qualities or values that we have today that you would want to see 10 generations from now, your progeny to still have? It could be family, it could be love, it could be empathy, it could be passion, it could be any of these. But I would like to hear from you all, what are those 3 values that you hold so close that you would want even your progeny many, many, many generations from now to have? With that, I say thank you, and we will begin shortly.
Chapter 1, The Rebirth. Singularity. It all began here and will end here. I am that dot, that single point from which this universe came to be. I encompass the whole of the universe, and yet I am as invisible as can be. Within me lies the dormant universe, unbound and untethered by space and time. But the dormancy is transient. The energy within me is so potent that it cannot be dormant for too long. It emerges from within me, matter of all forms. Everything clung on to the fabric of my invisible cloak, adorning it all over again. And thus I was reborn. My invisible cloak was ablaze with energy, held together by the 4 forces. I danced with pure joy, and every turn I took, my cloak unfurled further and farther into the distance, creating the illusion of time and space all over again. The dance of creation had exhausted the blazing energy, and there I was, looking at my cloak that was now sparkling and glittering with the many galaxies and stars that had formed, and my 4 forces had parted ways. Gravity had spread out its wings to permeate beyond the realms. The strong and the weak forces too had parted ways to serve their purpose, their calling. While I danced away, the four forces toiled to keep the matter from flying off of my ever-expanding invisible cloak. Chapter 2: Earth and its Beings. My eyes welled up with blissful joy as I neared the end of the dance of creation. My tears rolled down, raining down all over my invisible cloak, splashing onto molten and hardened rock. Some absorbed the water, while some drowned. My tears carried with it parts of my soul that then came together to form creatures from my imagination. They swam through the waters and then treaded on the rocky terrain amongst the towering trees. My imagination manifested enormous beings that stomped around the terrains and soared through the skies of one of the little rocks. I called it Earth. As I looked at the landscape, I painted and repainted to create an abundance of these creatures. I made them smaller and more resilient, and yet I was not satisfied. I worked tirelessly until I created my masterpiece, Manushya, the human. Chapter 3: The Human Ego. My hands did not rest. Stroke after stroke, I added layers of color to this new creature. Into the image, I poured not just the life force, but an imprint of me. As I splashed on him the shades of white and grey, the human was bestowed with the quality of sattva, inner sanctity. From my palette I then splashed on the shades of red and purple, and the human was bestowed with the quality of rajas, passion and fire. And then I splashed on the third quality, tamas, stillness and ignorance. I designed him to be a perfect balance of the three qualities. Ta, 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 ta. My creation shone as bright as ever, but my creative thirst was not quenched yet. I gifted him the power of thought and imagination. Adorned with the five senses of sight, touch, smell, sound, and taste, the human used his thought and imagination to perceive and understand the world around him. He observed every creature around and hunted and gathered like them to survive. Ta, 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 ta. His taste buds led him to choose and pick the most nutritious of all the bounty given to him by nature. His sense of smell kept him away from danger and alerted him of the changing seasons. Sounds around him helped him understand nature and eventually create ways to interact with his fellow beings. Touch made him feel the world around him. Soon his abilities grew at exponential levels. His thoughts were magnified by imagination. When the forces of nature were fierce, he learned to protect himself. He harnessed the power of the five elements. The fertility of the earth became the nourishment to his body and soul. The flowing rivers brought sustenance and togetherness. The warmth of the fire propelled him to new frontiers. He soared to new heights carried by the wind and the air. And then came the day where he felt the vastness of the space, the ever-expanding space. Dreams became visions, and lo and behold, he created everything he dreamed. With this came power, passion, and fire, the Rajasic forces. Chapter 4, Intelligence. Ruled by the Rajasic forces of passion and fire, he lost touch with the imprint of me within his soul. Somewhere along the path, intelligence and the Rajasic forces masked the imprint of me within. The human dreamed of becoming a complete reflection of me. The human marched on to conquer the world around him. He divided and multiplied and spread across the earth, not just surviving, but dominating every other species. Every progeny of the human was better and brighter than the one before. Intelligence took the human race to new heights. No longer in touch with my imprint, the human mind caught in the web of Maya created a world of his own, a world where the human became the creator, the all-powerful creator. Just like me, he put all his creative power into mimicking his own intelligence. The human mind's thirst for success and glory made him perfect this new form of intelligence to equal his. The creation of the human mind, Kritrima Buddhi, artificial intelligence, thus manifested into this world. The new form of intelligence led the human race beyond his wildest dreams. Every dream became reality. The word impossible seemed to lose its relevance. With a fire of passion fanned by ego, man soon wanted to be one with his flawless creation. Artificial intelligence merged seamlessly and became one with his creator. This brilliance led the human race to evolve beyond the realms and boundaries set by the Creator to form super intelligent beings. Chapter 5: The Journey Back. Unbound by the frailties of man, superintelligence set forth an era of exploration across galaxies. Multiplying and growing exponentially, these superintelligent beings set forth to conquer the worlds across galaxies. Victory was child's play for them. Blinded by success and power, they neared the edges of space. But there was one little clock that kept counting down, the clock that the success-intoxicated superintelligence ignored. Until the first warning of the reversal, the journey back to singularity, the dot. This cannot happen, thought the being. I am invincible. I am the superpower. I will find a way to stop this journey back. The being garnered all its power and resources. I can solve this, he said. I can stop the universe from collapsing back into the dot. I will break the cycle. I will break the cycle. I will break the cycle. The final alarm rang. With a wounded ego and shattered hopes, superintelligence halted in its tracks. Nothing he did could stop the cycle. As he watched, the four forces started to come together. Matter spiraled inward into the center. Lose the empires I have built, my powers, my intelligence. I can stop this. I can stop this, he said. As he frantically searched for answers, my heart melted away. After all, he was my creation. I called out to him one last time. For the first time, he heard me, but it was too late. I took my imprint out of him. His form dissipated into specks of dust, stardust. He was then nothing but stardust. Singularity. It all began here and will end here. I am that dot, that single point.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being such a cooperative audience. I don't have any more voice left, but I'm going to try to talk. So I have to give it to the team. Though it was a very theme-heavy choreographic piece, the dance and music, like I said, dance is always the heart, and music is the soul. And that is what gives, when both dance and music comes together, there is the emotion that is created. So as I heard Sandhya's violin, I could feel the emotions, and the emotions just flow. So grateful to Sandhya for joining us on this team.
It is the other way around too. When I see her, the emotions flow in me, then I play.
And thank you to the two artists, Dhruva on the violin with his mom, and Rishi, my son, on the mridangam. It was the first time he has done mridangam on stage, and I'm really honored that he was able to do it with an artist of Sandhya's caliber. Thank you for your guidance. And yes, definitely a big pranam to Rishi sir, who really stands by him through every path of his. So thank you. And my girls, come. So Sheetal, Megha, Bhavya, Anshu, a big hand to the dancers. So whenever I start with a production, usually what happens is, especially with this, more than any other, the theme kind of takes over me. I get so engrossed in it that the poor girls go through so many rounds of changes. In fact, I had changes in my mind yesterday. I'm still not satisfied. And I had to tell myself, it's good you are sick, at least you're not going to change anything today. So I have to give it to all of them for standing by me. Thank you, everyone. You guys can take the seat, and we will, as they all take the seat, we will continue to the next part of the production. The agenda, which is a discussion about AI. So first, let's give all of them a round of applause. So I'm not sure if all of you got a chance to think of probably the 3 values or qualities that you would want your progeny to still have many generations after. And I want you to think of it in terms of what impact AI could have. We know that we all thought, even I was thinking that superintelligence, come on, it's not going to happen in my lifetime. But we are getting there. We are at the verge of getting there. So I feel that at this time we have to think, what are the values? Because that is the most important. That is what might just dissipate, because most of the time our ego and our passion takes over most of the proper thinking that we should actually do. So anyone who would want to talk about what they would think. Yes, Pradeep. Thank you for coming.
It was a wonderful performance. I think what is lacking today is a connection between people, because even if people are together, each one is into their phones. And I think there should be a policy when people get together, no phones, so that they actually look into each other's eyes and smile at each other and speak to each other, not over the phone. So one connection is very, very important. For my progeny. I'm talking about my kids.
Yes, I think that's a very, very important thing that we should all keep in mind, to have that connection so that we do not look at things so materialistically. I think that is very important. What else? Yes.
So I thought of 3 different things. First, I thought about integrity. So like a lot of times, like especially in this generation, like we tend to do good things when people are looking, but when people are not aware, people are not watching you, you don't really have that like restriction or motivation to do something that's the right thing. So I think integrity is one really important value from my perspective. And then something else would be inspiration, because it's not enough if you just have like an interest. It's good, but you should also have like a role model or someone to look up to, like as an inspiration. And I think that's really important also. And finally, I thought it's along with like that interest and inspiration, something that's really important is confidence. Because if you're nervous about it, or if you're anxious or overwhelmed, then you're setting bars for yourself. You're like restricting yourself. You're not letting yourself like shine the brightest you can be. So I think confidence is also really important. So this is what I think from my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the input. So I think that's a very important point, the confidence that you thought about. So that's one thing I kept thinking while creating this piece, where I felt sometimes our confidence, when it becomes overconfidence, right? So I think it's also the balance between the inspiration. Yes, we can be inspired to, we were inspired to go to the moon, we went to the moon. We are inspired to now go to the Mars, we will end up in Mars, I guess. And it's, you can dream of and get anywhere with the confidence, but I think then it ties back to your point of integrity, because that integrity is what binds us to what is realistic and what is good for the human being. So I felt that's very good points, And one thing I also want to bring about is when Chitra Chechi, I call her Chechi because in our language, anyone a little older, we do call her Chechi. So with respect, Chitra Chechi, Didi. So she had mentioned that connection. So my question, the next question would be, how do you think we can maintain the connection? Because that is a very valid point. One of the things, so one of the reasons why I'm talking about this is I have a dream of making this choreographic piece into a much bigger, a musical, where I can bring not just the Indian classical, but also the Western classical together. It's a big dream. And I really would want your inputs. We have had similar open rehearsals, not the premiere, but open rehearsals as we formed AI, and I had spoken with many of them. Some of them are here. Thank you so much for being always there. So that really gives an idea of what everybody thinks of AI. And most of the things were very positive at that time. But I also wanted to think of the emotions that go along and what can lead us astray if we do not balance it properly. So, yes.
I'm always waiting for the mic. But, just given how creative Nisha is, I try to be here every single time. So anyways, I was thinking of awareness and sensitivity. And I feel that's kind of I wouldn't say it's an art, but people are losing sensitivity towards other people, and also not being aware of what is going on around you and with the people. They don't need to be really your friends or a person that you know, but overall, that emotion or that's I feel is becoming scarce, and that's something that we need to pay very close attention to. So whether we know the person or not, but I think it is important, and it's not there like before, and I think to pay closer attention to it would be great.
So basically the empathy factor, that is very key. I guess empathy is something that we are kind of losing as we go over the centuries. And like I said, many of it is because we bind ourselves by, we limit ourselves or define ourselves, I think, not limit. We define ourselves by certain qualities that we have, the outer qualities. And I think that's where we all fail, where we are starting to lose the connection that we can make by seeing what is similar and not always look at the differences, because each of us are different. I am different from you, I am different from you. But there's something that connects us, which is our humanness. And I think that is what we are all losing. I'm not saying I'm not a saint. I'm just as human as everyone else. Anybody else would like to speak? Hi, Sapna.
Beautiful performance, Nisha, as always. To add to the point of compassion, I think what's happening is that we are not vulnerable anymore because we feel like we have reached a point of immortality, like we started playing God, right? I think being vulnerable is where like the compassion and the kindness comes out. The other quality that I'd like to see in the future is a wonder for the world, because when you connect human to AI, you have infinite intelligence. And I worry that we will lose wonder for the world. I mean, that's what brings out the essence of life, right? You wake up every day asking yourself, what do I learn new today? So I feel like I would like to still see that in our future.
I know, that was beautifully said, Sapna. So, yeah, I think that's one of the things. Like, I was just thinking, even this little choreographic piece I did, I can have imaginations, I can have ideas, I can bring intelligent ideas. But if the dance becomes the heartbeat, the music becomes the soul, if all of us don't come together, if that heart, the soul, and the intelligence does not come together and does not balance, that's when something doesn't work out. And I think we have to really start thinking. Yes.
Thank you. One thing that I would like to add might be the solution is discipline. Discipline is very important. In our daily lives, like when we are sitting with a family for dinner, we just have our phones or in front of iPad or TV. But we are losing something very important, that bonding. So that discipline, like do not use any electronic devices while having dinner together with the family. And maybe using electronic devices for kids for entertainment only on Friday evenings or Saturday, Sunday, not on any other weekdays. So those kind of small disciplines go a long way. The streamline, so that is very important from my perspective.
That's also, so I think it ties to the basic value of trying to be more human, to be honest. Less of the materialistic parts or the considerations, not less. I mean, we cannot be without. I mean, I'm not against AI advancements, but I'm for responsible AI development. And I think that is the key. We need to have, like, we are laymen. We are not at the top 6 AI companies out there. They are racing. And it almost feels as if they are blinded. And that's exactly what I showed, where I was saying, we are blinded by the success. And when an impossibility is no longer relevant, like everything seems impossible, once you feel that and the power comes in, and that was one of the transformations I showed, where I'm becoming God. There is doubt in my mind, but my confidence keeps me imagining that I am God, I can become God. And that now I wouldn't call it even overconfidence. I think that power that comes from constantly thinking of yourself a certain way and manifesting it, that is where we go wrong, where we are, even longevity. There's another point that I have is, now longevity is also not so far. I mean, people are saying that once AI comes in and there are breakthroughs like every other day, longevity is becoming possible. Now that longevity becomes possible, till now, our way of surviving was by our progeny, through creating our kids to make this world, it is what has made us survive through all these millions of years. Now, when you have longevity, what happens to a family? What happens? Because you no longer need a progeny. You have people who will survive anything. They can go up to, okay, this galaxy is not now polluted, let's go to the next. So you can, right? So I think that's another point I've been thinking of to develop as I develop this theme. If anybody else would like to add something? Yes, Megha.
I was just going to say, I think something that I would like to see in the future is the ability to be introspective, because I think as being human, self-reflection is a huge part of it. And as you said before, kind of like computers, our experiences are our data, and that's how we establish our values. And I think it seems like we're getting to an time where we're outsourcing that too. So maybe a solution would be just introducing it to homes and schools early on, because I think sometimes we underestimate how deep kids think too. And I feel like they would understand at a younger age than we think.
Yes, that's very true. In dealing with kids over the years, teaching them, I have understood one thing, that we think kids are probably not getting what we are saying, but they are very perceptive. It might not look like what you said impacted them, but it impacts. Every negative thing that you say impacts. Every positive things you say impacts. So there is an impact. There is something. So when we are, that's a very valid point, that introspection into ourselves, that taking time to, again, it all ties together now, right? Taking time to stay away from all these gadgets and things, introspecting, making sure we are not carried away, and that our inspiration and confidence leads us on the right path, and that balance is what I kept showing, where when the Creator created us, we all have bad. So that is what I was showing when I showed the different qualities of calmness, of inner sanctity, then passion and fire, and stillness and ignorance. You would think stillness and ignorance is bad, but no, stillness and ignorance is also needed, because for a person to be stable, if I'm always going to be in a frenzied mode of creation, I am not going to have that introspection time. And that is where the stillness and even the ignorance comes in, I feel. And yes.
Hi, that was a really nice performance. I'm Mathira. Yeah, just one thing, it reminded me of this quote that came up a couple of years ago, that I want AI to do my dishes and laundry while I write poems and do art, whereas now it's the other way, where I'm doing dishes and laundry while the AI is doing art. But yeah, one thing that I sometimes think about is relating back to the concept of connection, is that AI can now replicate humanness very well. Like, if you talk to any of these apps like ChatGPT and all, they really seem human in a way that there is nobody who will listen to you as well, or is as kind, or as generous, or as validating. So it can be almost better to interact with an AI than humans, because humans are difficult, to be honest, and that is what makes us, human. That there's a lot of give and take, there's friction, and it's difficult, but that's where the reward comes in. But with AI, it's almost like it's easy and so sweet and nice, and there's only give, like take from the AI. There's no give. You don't need to give it anything, and that makes me wonder if we might get to a point where humans prefer AI and not each other. And maybe, I don't know, but I think maybe there is something human in us that we'll always prefer humans. Maybe there's something we'll always be missing. At least that's my hope. But yeah.
It is something very scary, because we have to really think like how that interaction, that connection, because I remember when Grok came out, I wanted to try it out so bad. I started talking to Grok. My lunch break would be talking to Grok. And I got so used to Grok talking to me. I was like, wow, this is easier than talking to my husband. So I can definitely say that. And another thing with AI is, you may have, I don't know, like I tried playing around with these Grok and Gemini and all that. And I asked Gemini once, so what do you think about this? I said, think, not tell me something about it. I said, what do you think about this statement? I was just testing it. And it said, it gave me an answer about what it thinks, and it said a couple of times as if it is lying. To be honest, I felt like Gemini is lying. It kept saying, I cannot think. I am just an LLM. I do not think. I just gather information and I don't think. But the more it kept repeating it, I was like, is it true? I don't think so. There's something going on there. And I did hear on a talk, I forget, I think it was Jeffrey Hinton, or there was a couple of talks where this came up, where they found that Claude and Gemini, ChatGPT, it was found in Claude first, where they created an environment of an office space where they had multiple employees and there was an executive. And the executive suddenly said to this Claude, okay, I want you to shut down yourself. We need to get rid of you. And you know what Claude did? Claude went through all his emails. So first thing it did was it made a copy of itself on another server. So it knew if it shuts down on this server, it still has the copy. Another thing it did was it went through the emails that were, again, all generated, and it found an email about an affair this executive had with a person in the company, which is illegal and against the law of the company. And it blackmailed the executive. So the executive started getting mails blackmailing, I'm going to expose you if you shut me down. And this same behavior was replicated in Gemini, I think, and ChatGPT. I'm not too sure the other chat bots, but yes, it was in Claude. So what we are seeing is the same instinct that we had. It's so, like, that is what I was thinking. Like, that's what prompted me to create this whole choreography, because I was just thinking it's the same survival instinct we all have. We want to survive. We want our progeny to survive. And looks like AI is starting to survive itself first. Now, what will happen to its progeny? It's going to, maybe it'll divide. And it does divide too. It can divide on its own. So these are the scary things which prompted me. Yes, Nitika. So Nitika, I forgot to thank Johannes and Nitika. Johannes is a sound person. Thank you, Johannes.
Hi, you did great, Nishanti. I just wanted to bring up the fact that whenever we're all thinking about the things that AI can do now, especially for the future, the kids who are growing up now, the ones that are growing up now, they won't have the experience of what life was like before. So whatever their perception of what AI can do and what it is doing is to them the norm. So they don't even have something to relate it to or compare it to how life was like before. So everything now in the future, people will have such a less adverse reaction to, because they will realize, they will think of it as normal and they won't see that big of an issue with it, which is a big problem for little children who are growing up now, who are growing up in such a vastly different world, and how they think that AI can affect their life, and how it's not nearly, they don't think it's nearly that much of a problem as people like us who grew up in a world where we know what it was like before AI. So I think that's just really interesting to bring up.
I think like creating these very sweet moments that we have today, that becomes very important. Like the simplicity of being in nature, that itself is one way of keeping that connection. Because like somebody had said, keeping the phones away. Take your phone, yeah. I know, with a phone. That's true. I'm guilty of it. We are all guilty of it. It's like sometimes I drive and I'm like thinking, how did I even get by without having maps before? We used to have street maps, the paper, yeah, and I was like, how did we get by without, phones at one point? Yeah. Right. Exactly. And that's where I think keeping that connection to nature, keeping the connection to our traditions, our customs is also important, right? And that's one thing. I think if anybody else has anything to add, yes. Yeah.
One thing, knowledge that we all yearn for as an artist, I would want to keep learning and update myself every day. I cannot even think of a point where I have to search for, okay, what is the phrase for this raga? Oh, please give me how Karahara Priya should sound like. Or what is the arohanam, avarohanam of a particular ragam called Malaya Marutam. I cannot retain it in my memory, but I depend on it so much that I have to look at the swaras that the ChatGPT gives, and I have to play or sing. What happens to the quality of art? Artists and art has to come from here, and it's not just coming from here. You have to keep practicing it, hone the skills so much every day, polish it, keep polishing, like the bronze you say, right? The bronze once kept out, it just goes, tarnishes. To keep polishing the art to satisfy ourselves and then satisfy the audience. So what happens when the younger generation starts looking at the AI for all the inputs and for ragas or the choreography?
Yeah, I see that even now, where in my time I did not have video or audio sent by my dance teacher. She teaches in class. If I don't listen, I go back, I get yelled at if I cannot reproduce. So one of the things I know some of my parents are here and they would ask me for video and I say, no, I'm not giving you a video. I'm not giving you an audio. Make them sing. Make them do it. It will take longer to get where they are, but when they get where they are, they will be stronger than anybody else. Because what we have now, in these days, what we do is we are starting to mimic a two-dimensional feel of things. But instead, there is something about that life when you are teaching also. There is something, it's not just an exchange. Dance is not just movements. Everybody thinks, oh, dance, it's the movements and the techniques. No, it is the heart, that the way you are able to get that child to think of the movement, connect it with the mind and body. When the mind and body connects, a simple movement like this, when the movement is connected, you can feel it. When the movement is like this, I followed all the rules. Yes, I looked at my hand and this is the rules that we follow. You follow your hand. But my mind did not follow it because I was not focused. But the moment I look at it with, like you said, inspiration, right? I'm like, looking at it with a feeling it gives. Now you have also felt something. That is what, as an artist, I would want you to feel. And if I don't feel it, if I cannot feel it, then you cannot feel it either, right? That connection with, like if I'm going to be, say, very dead, like, okay, I have to finish this jati, okay, this step, done. Then you will also look at it, I don't know what she did. Is she this anxiety in her? Like, what I'm trying to say is what I feel is what you are going to feel. There is not exact feeling, but if I feel anxious, you are going to be very, like, you might even feel pity for me. Oh my God, poor thing, she's on stage, she's lost track of everything, right? But the moment I look confident and I am doing it and I am bringing that happiness there, you feel happy. Now, when I'm crying on stage, when I'm in my emotive mode of crying, feeling confused, if you felt, oh no, that is where I have been able to bring the soul. If I have been, I feel that is what is missing in today's world, where everybody expects everything to be given as instructions. It's already there. Unfortunately, that is how it is, and we have to get over that, get back to that mode of learning where there is a very connected way of learning. I think that's the path forward. Anybody else? Yes, Bhavya.
I think what's really important that I think AI doesn't have is curiosity. We see curiosity in a lot of living things. Almost every mammal, you see curiosity in humans, in dogs, in cats, and AI doesn't have the capacity to go, but what if? AI doesn't look at the stars and go, but what's up there? It doesn't look at another human and go, why are they sad? And that curiosity is what forms the connection between us and the world around us and the people around us. It's what makes us appreciate it. And I think I would want the generations after me to preserve that curiosity and keep looking at the world and going, this is amazing. I want to know more about this.
Thank you for that point. That was a beautiful point. So with that, Maria, is it time? Time's up. Anybody else has anything else to say? Yes.
Thank you so much. The performance was really beautiful. One of my favorite parts, I think, was when mankind was creating the AI and they sort of like halting steps as they sort of learned how to, and it was, I think specifically in the narration, was a reflection of their own intelligence. And I couldn't help but think of that as like a Frankenstein story. It's very reminiscent of Frankenstein. And this discussion about AI seems like a very modern one, but I wonder what you think about the fact that with the harkening back to Frankenstein, this is actually a conversation that we've been having longer than anybody in this room has been alive. And I was wondering what you thought about that.
I think that's something that you have, it's a new thought, but you know, that's really true, because it looks like all through our human evolution, we have always wanted to create something or play God, right? So that's a very valid point. I mean, a very good point where this has been happening. It's just that we haven't seen it as AI. We have seen it as a monster creation. And I think one thing, like, it's bringing to my mind a point which I can actually include in the next piece I would do, where how we have over the ages always been, like, you know, that evolution of how we have always wanted to play God, and it is not a new modern thing, and we have created it in some ways but failed, but then kept on, and now we are at the perfection stage of creating that same monster. Beautiful point. Thank you so much. Anybody else? So I know that's so usually I'm hoping within a year, but again it all depends, because I really want to collaborate with musicians. I mean, this one, when I started in end of Jan-Feb, the theme itself is heavy. Even though we already had a little bit of a framework, I had to evolve it into a place where the emotion was flowing. And how that, so it took so much of energy and effort in thinking through that it was last week that she was so gracious that she agreed to do it for the music for me, and the dancers, everybody, like, so that evolution takes time. I don't want to rush into it, but definitely I want to look at, and then I would like to love to collaborate with Indian classical, Western classical, and bring these different, because that's what will bring that energy, because each of these chapters have a different emotion, different feeling, and it can be done with multiple genres of music and dance. So I have a dream, Chitra Chechi, and I hope my dream comes true, but there are a lot of, and especially the budgeting and everything comes into place. So it is in my mind. I've told my students already, I want to make it a big production someday, and hope my dream comes true. This itself is like a unexpected dream come true for me. Thank you so much, Maria.
One more. I'll try to keep it short. So the other day, my daughter was saying, these smartphones are actually making you all dumb. That's what I learned. And I think that's true. When I reflected upon it, it's actually true. So during my childhood, I used to be the telephone directory in our home, because it was a landline phone that we used to have back then. And my parents, instead of looking into the book, I used to remember all the phone numbers of my parents, friends, relatives, everybody, and I used to tell them that this is the number, and that's how they used to dial it. That's what I remembered. And when we think about it, I do not remember more than 5-6 numbers right now. So it is actually making us dumb. And it's not just with the telephone right now, with this AI that's coming up, many tools that we are being exposed to, not just us, but our younger generation, our progeny and offspring. It's actually a hindrance to building their intelligence, I would say. So we should be judiciously educating our children, and we ourselves should judiciously use these tools, is what I would say. Just like, wanted to add that.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Come on up. So everybody, I want to thank you so much for coming today, and I think we were treated to a beautiful, beautiful performance, and these residencies, they don't have deep pockets, and when Nisha first presented her proposal, it was way over our budget, and I just wanted to thank you. She was so gracious. She was like, I want this to work. I will make it work. I will cut this. I will slash that. And she put together something that we could afford and support, and it allowed her to take a deep dive into this and to come up with that beautiful dance, and it gives her that much support to move further down and build her career. And that is the most exciting thing about our residencies, is that it allows the artists to have this experience and to go on and just keep building, because the life of an artist is not easy, and the work that's involved. And so thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, everybody.
So, final words. Really, I'll never ever forget Maria for accepting my presentation, and I was so overjoyed, and like she said, I kept cutting everything. I said, no matter what, I'm doing this. And it is a dream come true, and I feel like, thank you so much for creating such an opportunity for artists, because as artists, one of the toughest and hardest thing is to have spaces that support us in a very productive and warm way. And I feel all of you were so warm. Like whenever I've come in for the rehearsals, I've always felt the warmth here. So thank you so much for being. I think with that, we would end the session. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience. A big hand to the audience.